I think what we'll do too this morning, since we're talking a little bit about Pathways to Hope, maybe instead of announcements, we could put announcements in the chat, but maybe Doug and Karen Wall is here, could give us just a real brief recap from Pathways to Hope, as well as the No Moss conference last weekend. How many people showed up? Oh, what was the energy like? What was, like the two best things that happened? Doug, you want to go
Well,
first?
yeah, we had about 1,000 people. We're doing follow-up now. We're sending out surveys to everybody with specific questions about the conference. So we'll have better information about, and feedback. But just a personal observation, for somebody who's been working on this for 9 years, it ran smoother than any conference we've had. Overall, the quality of the workshops and speakers was the best that we've ever had. And I credit our track managers and facilitators for doing that. I think it really, really worked well. As usual, probably the sessions were great, but my favorite part of the whole conference is just meeting and seeing people in the lobby between sessions, just visiting and going to the exhibitor tables and the things that aren't scripted that people come with. And Ann, I know you had a story about one of your encounters. I thought the session that Ann and Justin and Scott Hare did on tough questions. I told Scott, I had some tough questions. And then I heard everybody else's. They really had tough questions. But it was one of the best sessions that I think I've been in. It was outstanding. I mean, it was amazing. So that's my quick, and we had so many good sessions throughout them. I really liked having Rabbi Kinberg come down from Seattle and do the Shabbat. And we talked about how to promote that better next year. We had it, but I've got some tips. So there were many, many good things. I mean, I could go on for a while, but I won't.
Thanks, Doug, for that brief report, and we'll get more. Karen, did you want to give us a brief report on No Moss conference this past weekend?
Sure, I'll be happy to. It was a fire hose of information that I think all of us who were in attendance are still processing. It was the energy was contagious in terms of being electrifying. We did not have the numbers that you did, Doug. Over the 3 days, starting Thursday evening into a full day of Friday and Saturday, we saw maybe a total of 150 people, and not all at once. But the crowd that we had there were fully invested in learning about No Moss's domestic violence model for holding particularly men accountable for the use of violence against their intimate partners or family members. There were topics ranged from Dr. Catherine Anderson from Our Lady of the Lake, and Patricia Castillo did something on family violence in terms of really, really encouraging parents not to use corporal punishment, that sets up the dynamic that violence is okay when you're frustrated. So they made a presentation on that. We had someone make a presentation on male supremacy as well as white supremacy. We talked about Project 2025, which was extremely informative. We also had a pair of individuals talk in terms of ACEs. I know everybody on this group probably is educated about adverse childhood I'm forgetting the E. Anyway,
Experiences.
thank you, Anne. It's early in the morning and I haven't had enough coffee. So how with those early childhood experiences that can show up with detrimental health as you age, because it's not so much the immediate trauma that you experience, but it's living in prolonged stress of what's going to happen and not knowing that you're safe. So, and then we also had a Broadway play called What the Constitution Means to Me, and that was just lovely. In fact, that is on YouTube if anybody is interested in seeing it. It is 2 hours long, but well worth it. And I think I'll leave it at that, Anne.
Sounds great, Karen. Why don't you put that link into chat? And to those who have joined us during our first 5 minutes, we were getting a brief briefing from Pathways to Hope conference this past weekend, as well as the No Moss conference that was in town. So we're not going to do announcements today, but you're more than welcome to put announcements into chat. Today, some things that will be coming down the pike. The San Antonio Compassion Institute 24-25 is going to be starting October 1st. And so you're going to start seeing information about that. There's lots still coming up. So antennas up. So this morning, actually, I'm going to go back a bit. We are in a small series within our summer series of Be the Neighbor. But we've been in a housing conversation for the last 2 weeks, and now this is our third week. The first week we watched together also online, Everyone Needs a Home, that's been produced by H.E. Butt Family Foundation. And we discussed that, a great primer for how we are and what kind of situation that we are in terms of housing in San Antonio. Really recommend that, and I can put that in chat if you haven't seen it. Then last week we heard from Good Acres and efforts across the city in terms of the faith community refitting their facilities and their properties for various reasons, one of which can be housing. So that was really exciting. We also shared an article from The Economist that asked the question, could congregations in our faith community really make the difference when it comes to the housing that's needed in our country, not just in our city? They also talked in that article, some of you know about NIMBY, not in our backyard, and they put in there, I can never pronounce, YIGBY, I think it is, yes, in God's backyard. So kind of flipping the mental geography as well. So today we have in that process and conversation, we have with us Mark Carmona. He's the Chief Housing Officer of the City of San Antonio, and he's going to be bringing us an update on the strategic housing implementation plan with the city. So good to have you with us, Mark. I know you were here. Did you leave us, man?
Wow, I'm still here.
There he is. He's just
Still
waiting.
here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Intersection. It's been a while since I've been with you all, but happy to be with you this morning and talk about what we're doing with the Strategic Housing Implementation Plan. Actually, yesterday, the budgets for Neighborhood Housing Services Department and Department of Human Services, which are two city departments that are pretty critical to the work of housing, we presented before City Council, got questions, those kinds of things. So this is really good timing. I'm going to share my screen.
Can do that. So you mean, Mark, yesterday in front of City Council, you did your warm up, your test for today. The big presentation is now, right? Right.
Correct. That is correct.
You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. All right, let's see if this is, yeah.
You're doing great.
Hold on. I don't think that's the right one. Sorry about this.
No problem. this morning, I woke up and I'm in my home office. I always do this from my home office. But my house had been skunked again. It's happened before. And I'm never happy about it. And of course, but in that anxiety and waking up with my eyes tearing from the intensity, I thought, but I have a home. I have a place. And I'm grateful. So Mark, do you have the right one now?
I
You
do.
think?
Thank you.
Hey,
And thanks for that lead in, Ann. I mean, I've been really, and knowing some in this group, I think this is maybe a good place to start or way to start. But lately, I've just been thinking a lot about what it means to be housed and what it means to not have a home. But there's so many services and resources that people can access in our city. Thank goodness, that we're a compassionate city, that we have resources, we talk to each other, we share information. But I was talking to a couple families the other day that were finally able to get into some affordable housing. And they just said, quite frankly, it was hard to think about anything else but finding a permanent home for us in this past few months. And it was just a great reminder to me to make sure that as much as possible, we're putting people in the middle of what we do and remembering, this is important, whether it be permanent supportive housing, whether somebody has significant behavioral health issues, whatever the case may be, that, that housing is a stressor if you don't have it. And then once you do, it takes a while. So we're trying some things with Ready to Work and putting Ready to Work sites at our new housing developments, and we'll see how that works out. But anyway, thanks for that, Ann, as a way to kind of lead in and remember for me, just to share that kind of story with you all. So here's an update on our strategic housing implementation plan, or we call the SHIP. So if I start talking in acronyms and SHIP acronyms, you know what's kind of going on. As a refresher, the SHIP is a shared vision for housing affordability in San Antonio through 5 things. Developing a coordinated housing system, which is a big part of what I do as the Chief Housing Officer. Increase investment in housing with a 10-year funding plan, which we have, which was boosted significantly when voters approved $150 million housing bond in May of 2022. Increasing affordable housing production, rehab, and preservation. I think we can all make an argument that the best form of affordable housing is keeping people in their homes. Protecting and promoting neighborhoods. And we're very aware and sensitive to displacement and gentrification. So we have tools that help us when we're looking at projects to fund to see how much, existing neighborhoods are being protected and promoted. And then ensuring accountability to the public. We have a site that people can check. We have an annual event every January. We just did our second one. Wow, it's been a few months. Can't believe it's almost, yeah.
January
Anyway.
again, right? We're on the other.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. But every January we hold an accountability event. Last time we had about 300 people that came. But this is really an opportunity for the community to come and see what's happening right now. We're continually putting information out. We have a public information campaign that we're about to continue on. We've already kind of started down that path. So I think there's growing platforms and methods in which we get information out to the public to let them know what's happening. And the SHIP itself has 36 strategies that are underway, and I'll talk about a couple of them today. Some progress towards our 10-year goals. So the SHIP is a 10-year vision. It's a 10-year plan to identify, either produce or preserve over 28,000 households in our community. So there's a couple of categories, that make it a little bit easier. On the home ownership side or on the rental side, we wanted to just kind of give you an idea of where we were year 3, quarter 3. And you can see on the home ownership side, we're higher on the rental goal in terms of producing more and rehabbing more. Home ownership, we need to pick up, and we realize that. But the overall SHIP goal, we're at 33% in year 3, which I think is tracking pretty well. We're holding events, 13 projects more than 2,300 units expected to break ground in 24. So I think we're making the kind of progress we need to make. Could we do more with more funds? Absolutely. But we're leveraging with partners as much as possible. So at least with 89 million, I had to share this yesterday with council. With $89 million bond funds, we've been able to leverage, I think it was about 650 million, maybe a little bit below that. So we're leveraging other sources of funds. It's almost an 8-to-1 type of thing. I mentioned a couple ship strategies. I just want to talk about a couple of them. One that was well underway and another that's in development. The one that's well underway is at the bottom is community land trusts. And community land trusts are opportunities for neighborhoods and leadership in neighborhoods it's a tool that they can use to keep the homes in their communities affordable. So basically the way the land trust works is the trust owns the dirt and the improvements on the property is owned by the owner. But that way the trust can maintain, the increases in the valuation of the home and keep it affordable for the longest time. One of the projects that we looked at in Austin, the Guadalupe Neighborhood Development Organization, have been doing this since the 80s. And their homes are based in East Austin, which now is blowing up. You have homes in East Austin that are $1 million. But so getting back to the presentation, so community land trusts are great ways to keep homes affordable in neighborhoods. Right now, the city's working on a community land trust policy. There's one existing community land trust, the Esperanza Community Land Trust, that's working in a particular section, the historic West Side. The Mexican American Unity Council is in development of their land trust, and Cultural Lingua, who works with Middle Eastern Afghan communities in the medical center area, is developing their community land trust. So that tool, that strategy is well underway. One of the other strategies that we're looking at right now is land banking. So, in terms of the future, we don't know what we don't know in terms of what's going to happen. But if we're able to identify vacant land that's near regional centers, that's near transportation hubs, that are good strategic locations potentially for housing production, we should bank that land now. I think everybody would agree that dirt's getting more and more expensive in our community on all parts of the city. You see where, double-digit percentage increases in the cost of just land itself. So we're working on, we're coordinating with the Housing Trust. We're trying to work with the county to identify surplus properties for single-family housing, and then working with the Housing Trust to identify land for multifamily development. So we have some tools, but I just wanted to make you all aware that this is on our radar, and I think something that we'll be working on in fiscal year 25. One of the things that we started working on this last year or this year that moves into next year is accessory dwelling units. And I hope that everybody on this call has heard of an accessory dwelling unit or ADU. It is an option for people that, say, for example, it's just you and your partner, and you have a huge house and I'm thinking of myself. I don't want to take care of this house anymore, this big. I want something much smaller. So there's ways now where you can, if in your backyard, you could build out an ADU. And if you wanted to, have the kids have the house and you live in the backyard, that's one opportunity. If you want to age in place and you live alone, this could be an income opportunity. But the thing that we're really looking at is, could this be some affordable ways for people to be able to live in our community? When you think about the inner city of San Antonio, a lot of those houses have casitas that are built in the backyard already, right? And so people are approaching us now and saying, maybe we can use the casita as a way to, rehab it and turn that into an ADU. So we started with making amendments to our Unified Development Code to make it easier to build out and get ADUs approved. We had a design competition. We had funding from AARP, which is a great fund source. If people are looking for kind of innovative ideas, I would go to AARP. They're doing some really cool stuff. The design competition was amazing. This is where the community really picked up, embraced this idea of ADU and kind of made it their own. So we had hundreds of people submit design plans. You can see on the slide, we had an older adult winner, and then we had a K through 12 winner. All these folks came. We had an event at Prospera on Nacogdoches Road, and we were able to kind of share the results. People voted online. About 3,000 people voted online, so people were really kind of getting into this. And so the design competition was a way to really kick this off. We're now in the stage of building out permit-ready plans. And so we'll, on our site for ADUs, we'll have plans that are available for people to use for free. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to use that plan. You could use your own, but we at least want to have resources, plans, available resources, technical assistance that could be available to help you out. So the education and resource materials is what we're doing next. And then all of that will go on to the website. So our ADU initiative is well underway. We're also, the development team of Neighborhood Housing and Services Department is working on incentives for people to build out ADUs. So we're trying to have a whole package. We're talking to local financial institutions to see what products they may have that can help people if they're considering this. So this is one initiative that's started, and it's going to continue into next year. Progress on our affordable housing bond.
He's the guy running it, right? Thanks.
So actually, it says 81 million in bond funds that have been awarded. Actually, that number is 84.9. We need to update this. We have 2,800 plus homes in the pipeline right now, and 1,500 plus homes under construction currently. Another important part of what we're trying to do is local coordination. I think hopefully everyone on the call is probably aware that San Antonio Independent School District closed down schools. And so when that happened, I was able to have an initial meeting with the superintendent and his staff. And what I learned from that meeting was the 18,000 students that they lost over a 10-year period. The two primary drivers for that, according to the superintendent, was decreased birth rate and lack of affordable housing, not only for their parents and the families, but for his staff as well in the different schools. So we're talking to them about exploring options for campuses of closed schools. He's interested in building out housing for his staff and for his residents. We're at the very beginning of this. We arranged for our local board of realtors to start working with them on what this whole process could look like in terms of land use, potentially for the district. And so that's one local coordination initiative that we're doing. Another is around transit-oriented development. We were able to secure a grant from the Department of Transportation called the Thriving Communities Grant. It's a grant program. It's going to be focused on the Advanced Rapid Transit Corridor for the East-West that starts at the Frost Center and goes all the way to General McMullen on Commerce. So it runs all the way through. This partnership is with VIA, LISC, San Antonio, the county, and the city. And right now, the city and VIA and partners are working on, there's a green line that's already underway, but the silver line has particular interest to us because a lot of where it moves is where current housing developments are located and some in the future. So that's another local coordination piece that we were able to pull together. We were on the SA to DC trip earlier in the year, and we were able to go visit with Department of Transportation to go learn more about how our community can bring more dollars down in this area. And then finally, another local coordination piece is with Bexar County. Been doing a lot of coordination work with Judge Sakai and Bexar County on the homeless response system, the need for additional permanent supportive housing. The county has put money, 9.1 million of their funds into the pot for funds that are available for permanent supportive housing. And so we hope to continue that partnership. The county plans to add some outreach staff to address homelessness in their other incorporated areas like Leon Valley. And you can see some areas that they've already put some money into. So, and those are the slides that I had right now for today. I just wanted something, I know the intersection probably running overtime, but I just wanted to give people a flavor of what's going on, and I'm happy to answer any questions.